Hi, I'm Justin Younts, and welcome to the Pulp Report. I have Dave Buckler from Online World of Wrestling. Thank you for doing the interview, Dave.
My pleasure. Good to be here.
Good, good. So I want to talk about the website. How I remember when it was called ObsessedWithWrestling.com.
Yeah.
So how did the website start? Like, how did it come to be about?
Sure. Well, the website really started back in about 2001. A guy named Brad Dykins started putting all this together. Jason Dietrich owns the website. Brad was working for him.
Yeah.
And the idea really was they wanted a site that didn't just report on news, but also was like a catalog or a history of wrestling. Not just results, but individual match results. If you go on Online World of Wrestling, I think the biggest, strongest part of the website are the individual wrestler profiles.
Yeah, like, well, I remember using it back in like 2002. It was like Wikipedia before there was any Wikipedia. You guys were like way ahead of time.
Actually, it's good you mentioned that, Justin. In some ways, Wikipedia is a real competitor of ours because they have all the title histories. They have all the results on there. What they don't have, though, are the individual profiles of the wrestlers. Again, I think that's really what distinguishes Online World of Wrestling from any other website.
Yeah. What caused the change of the name, like from Online World of Wrestling? Why you guys change it?
You know, I really don't know. In fact, I started as the editor-in-chief in 2012. It had already been renamed at that point. Mm-hmm. Brad was moving on to other things, and I know the owner very well, and so he asked if I would come in as the editor-in-chief. But it was already Online World of Wrestling at that point. I'm really not sure why it was changed.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to talk about, what's going on now on in wrestling today. What do you think of Raw?
Well, I'm a big WWE fan. I started liking wrestling in 1985, and it really is my favorite promotion. One thing I like about being the editor-in-chief of OWW is it forces me to watch Impact. It forces me to watch Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, some of the Japan work, just so I kind of have a feeling what's going on in the industry. But I do really focus on WWE. I have to say, Justin, I feel like right now WWE is a little bloated. There's so much on, and whether it's, oh my God, 205, then I have to watch NXT, and then there's pay-per-view, everything. It's a lot, and I've kind of fallen out of favor a little bit. I don't watch every second anymore. Do you watch every Raw front to back?
I try to watch every Raw. It's hard to watch every SmackDown. I mean, 205 Live, I'm not really caught up on, but I should be. But I mean, they're doing these meaningless storylines with like Alicia Fox, where it's just like, I'm supposed to care about this, like this box thing.
Yeah, you make a great point, and my real heartburn with WWE at the moment is there's way too many champions. Way too many champions. I mean, we don't need a Raw tag team champion and a SmackDown tag team champion. We don't need, a Universal champion. I can't even rank them anymore.
Yeah, no, and I think it's led to the devaluing of the belts, because I believe like the belts should each, if they were booked correctly, they would each mean as much. They would mean a lot. You could almost draw the show with the belt.
There's no question. You're right on the mark. When I was growing up, I can remember every single title change for about 5 years. Yeah. Every single one. From when the Honky Tonk Man won the Intercontinental title to when he lost it to when Ultimate Warrior beat Hogan to, I was a big Hart Foundation guy. When they lost the Tag Team Championship to Strikeforce, I swear to God I cried. And I still say Jim Neidhart never submitted in that Boston crowd. I remember every title change for about 5-6 years. This has become ridiculous in a way. And now guys hold the belts for 2 weeks. They get it back. One thing to keep in mind, John Cena is, what, a 16-time world champion?
Yeah, in like 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean what it meant when Ric Flair was winning titles or Hulk Hogan was winning titles. And the other thing, too, that's so interesting to me, Justin, is like there was a natural career progression for wrestlers. For example, when Macho Man won the Intercontinental title, then was elevated up to world title competition and then champion, he never wrestled for the Intercontinental title again.
Yeah, no.
He was beyond that.
It kind of reminds me, like now I think they use the Money in the Bank almost as the Intercontinental title now. It's almost taken that place because, I mean, let's face it. Do you think there's any kid right now that's crying when a tag team champion loses? I mean, I can't see anybody being really invested with these championships. Is there
it's such a disappointment for someone. Look, I'm in the business, quote unquote, with Online World of Wrestling. I'm also on the executive board of the Cauliflower Alley Club, so I really contribute to that as well. But at the end of the day, we're all fans, and we like this business because we like the storylines and the characters. The belts don't mean anything to the wrestlers normally. To them, they're just props. We know why Jake Roberts never needed a title in WWF, because he didn't need it. He was already a main event draw. Honky Tonk Man needed it, frankly, to be important. But it has devalued to the point where fans are almost confused who the champions are now. Yeah. And that's a real shame.
Yeah, no, I agree. Did you catch any of SmackDown with Nakamura? What do you think of him?
Well, I do like the fact that WWE has stretched their reach on where they're finding their stars. I mean, certainly going out into the independent scene, AJ Styles, bringing him in, guys like that, Bobby Roode, sending him to NXT, and using that farm system to kind of create their next generation, and looking into Japan, Mexico, etc. So even though I'm not as familiar with him, I am glad to see them reach out to other areas to find their next generation of stars.
Yeah, no. I think that's something that Triple H has really brought to it. He's like opened, he's broadened the range of where they're getting the stars, because for a long time it was just 6'5", 240, and it's just like, okay, but there are other guys out there that might not be that. I mean, like look at AJ Styles, how he's just taken off, and I did not think they would elevate him the way they have.
Well, let me ask you, from the standpoint of what Daniel Bryan did to WWE, and bringing him in, and he got so popular, had so much success. It's almost like now they really believe in this, that they can go out and find these guys and then build them up. But if you look at the injury history of a lot of these guys too, it's weird. Seth Rollins got hurt. God, what happened to Daniel Bryan? Such a shame. A lot of these guys don't seem as sturdy as like John Cena and Triple H. Some of these old school WWF.
I think that's the style. The style change has led to more injuries, which is why I think when wrestlers reach a certain level, they should not be performing as much as possible. I think they should just kind of take what the UFC is doing and do it sporadically. Look at Brock Lesnar. He's probably the most special guy they have there. He feels special when he shows up because we don't see him all the time. I think we need to get to a point where we're doing more of that with the championships, even the Intercontinental Championships, so that they mean something. And I think that also goes down to, the commentary doesn't stress the importance of the championship like a Jim Ross would. You're right on the mark. You're right on the mark. Brock Lesnar is a really interesting point and a really interesting talent, because if you see him wrestle live, there's an element of danger to him that feels legitimate, right? Because we know he's a former UFC heavyweight champion. He's a legitimate competitor, legitimate tough guy, skilled fighter. And he feels like you never know, any minute he may go off script and really hurt someone. Yeah, no, I mean... right. They did that moment with Heath Slater where he was coming in. It was just supposed to be this one moment, and he says, "I don't give a crap about your kids or whatever." And like the drop in there, even in Heath Slater, you almost felt, you just felt that, oh wow, this guy's gonna get killed feeling.
Yes.
And nobody has that presence. I don't know if that's just Brock Lesnar or, I don't see that anymore. There's no fear or danger, and I think that goes back down to wins and losses don't matter.
You're 100% correct. So it's like,
but
there is a real beautiful thing about Brock Lesnar in that he does feel very legitimate and very scary at times. That's hard to do in this business, right? Because as much as we want to fear the Undertaker, he's the dead man, and we know a lot of them are cartoonish in a way. But there is a real legitimacy to Brock Lesnar, and I think they did the right thing by putting the title on him at WrestleMania. Yeah. Brock, Bill Goldberg was a nice transition for a bit, but Brock Lesnar is the meal ticket, and if they want to legitimize their federation and bring importance back to a championship, I do think he's the guy.
Yeah, I think they should build to Braun Strowman, because I see him getting over organically. He's not somebody that's been shoved down the throats. Like, the fans are just kind of taking to him organically, I feel.
Well, do you feel, in a sense, that like the wrestling audiences have changed so much? I mean, when I was growing up, you could force someone down someone's throat and say, "The Ultimate Warrior, you're going to love him. He's going to shake the ropes. The music's great, and you're going to like him." And I don't think that
time
works
has passed. I feel like that's the problem with WWE is they don't understand the audience change.
Yeah,
is
good point.
That doesn't work anymore, and they need to start embracing that. I feel like that's the real feud now: is the fans versus the promotion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like McMahon and Austin, but it's like happening in front of them because they just.
I agree with you. One pushback: I don't like the post WrestleMania Monday Night Raw crowd anymore.
I mean, it can get out of hand. I mean, I thought the SmackDown crowd was way more tamed, as they kind of were there to see a show. But I mean, they embraced it. They gave an award. They gave a Slammy award to the crowd. I mean, so they've opened the doors by saying, "Oh, look at how cool this is. This is great." Mm-hmm. They even did a show on the 24/7 on WWE Network. So I mean, they kind of opened the doors to this. I mean,
but sometimes the chanting I get tired of.
Yeah, no,
every single move in the ring they start chanting something. It was kind of cool when it first happened because it showed the audience was invested, and it helped Daniel Bryan get this incredible. Remember when they did with Fandango too? Everyone started singing with Fandango.
I was there. We were all sitting in the crowd, and we just it was like we all had the same idea at the same time. This match sucks. Let's do his stupid little thing, and we just did it the whole show because the show was awful. It was supposed to be Brock and Rock coming out to do the confrontation, and that got canceled because Rock got hurt the night before. So we're left with this pedestrian show, and it was just like, who cares? And that's where it came from.
That felt organic, kind of the word you used before. That felt like legitimate, and then now it feels very contrived in a way.
Yeah, no, it's definitely contrived. It's not.
And so I'm a ring announcer too. I did a lot of ring announcing on the East Coast, and when I'm in the ring and they start chanting or when you have 150 people at a show, 250 people at a show, whatever it is, the chants don't work. Save that for Madison Square Garden or something like that.
One of the ones that I hate the chant, and because they do it like almost 5 minutes into the match, is "This is awesome." I'm like, no, it's not. This is decent. Chant that. This is decent. This is not awesome. When I think of awesome, I'm thinking of, it's got to be great. It's like not 5 minutes, a lockup, and then they did a few moves, and then it's like, oh, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm like, you puppet, stop it.
You're right. You're right on the mark.
I wanted to bring up, because this is really sad, but the Shibata thing with his, the headbutt. I don't know if you saw that, but... he possibly may have ended his career, and I mean that just I don't know. What do you think about that? I mean,
I did see it, and I think it's another example, Justin, that on any given night we have to just appreciate these wrestlers, these talented performers. Every time they go through the ropes. I've worked on independent shows where there were 50 people in the crowd. I've worked on independent shows where 1,000 people were in the crowd. It doesn't matter. These individuals are never going to go to TNA. They're never going to go to WWE. But they go out there and risk their bodies just like John Cena does, or just like the gentleman you're talking about. And any given move can bring an end to their careers. I give them all a lot of credit. I'll tell you, as the ring announcer, I sit ringside. I swear to God, if I'm ever working a match and a guy blows his knee out, or God, I don't know if I'll be able to handle that. I'm not very good with medical emergencies. But not to make light of this, it's a very serious thing, and it reinforces again that this is no joke what these gentlemen and these ladies do to entertain the fans.
Look at the guy, the Rey Mysterio match was a couple of years ago. Where, he just hit the rope. And I'm like you see the footage, you just like, he just took a bump. And that was it. I mean, that's one of the most scary things I've ever seen. That shows how fast and how dangerous professional wrestling can be.
Well, let me add to that, Justin. I worked a match with a guy who's in Black Wall Street. They're a group here here on the East Coast, and he's a big, massive guy, the Human Terminator, Marcellus Prime. When he gets in the ring, he bounces off the ropes back and forth to get warmed up. And I knew that, but I didn't get far enough away from the ropes as I was introducing him. And I was about 6 inches from the ropes, and it snapped and hit me. because he's like 260. I mean, just a giant, strong guy. And I'll tell you, the rope hit me on the side so hard I couldn't believe it. And I was thinking, about the guy Paraguay you just talked about. Yeah. All it takes is a little slip. All it takes is a little mistiming, and he had his neck by the ropes. So even that time when Marcellus Prime was bouncing off the ropes, I had a bruise because those ropes are, on a good ring, are pretty damn tight.
Yeah, no, you can.
And it's like it's no joke what they do in there, and I just give them all a lot of credit. If you go to a wrestling training school and see how hard these people work, I hate the word fake. This is not fake. It's scripted wrestling entertainment, and for those of us who love it, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Jeff Jarrett had the best thing. I mean, for somebody who's a fan, any explanation works. For someone who's not a fan, you can't. There's nothing you can give them because they don't get it.
They don't get it, and I've heard the quote before. It's a great quote. I have just given up trying to convince anyone. I take my kids to the shows with me, and I tell you they're like superheroes to them, and I hope they never outgrow that appreciation.
Yeah, no, that's good. One thing I saw Bob McGee on your site wrote a great article on Mauro Ranallo. How do you feel about this situation? I kind of feel it's sad that they're just sweeping it under the rug and just hoping it goes away instead of but it really comes from the top down, and it's really if you punish JBL, it's not the problem, it's the top down type thing.
You are 100% right. So there's a couple sides to this. First of all, I feel terrible for him as a professional because he's really good.
Oh, he's great. I love listening to him. He brought so much to the John Cena and AJ Styles matches that they were having. Just this legitimacy that they were having a contest.
And can you imagine he got a call saying you're going to come work on WWE, and how excited he must have been, and his family, and feeling kind of like, my career, the capstone of my career, and this is what everybody aspires to do, right? I mean, they want to work for WWE. Yeah. And then to have this kind of situation, and without getting into the specifics, I mean, we all have our own JBL stories and things we've heard about JBL. No one's surprised about this.
No, nobody's.
No one's surprised about this. But it comes from the top. Look, I work in the defense industry here in the Washington, D.C. area, and if my company isn't well managed from the top down, we all fall apart. It comes from the top, and it should not be allowed, especially when you put in the fact that WWE runs an anti-bullying campaign.
I know that's the biggest thing about it. It's like, why are they not even, they're hypocrites by not doing anything about this.
Now, we have to be careful because we don't know all the facts.
That is true. We don't know all the facts.
What we know, it looks as if they are hypocritical in the way they've handled this. But again, we do have to kind of reserve. And just, it's kind of like the Justin Roberts book came out too, right? And he was very.
I haven't read that yet, but I want to read that book.
I'd like to read it too, and but we don't know exactly. And there is a culture behind the curtain, I guess, which is why the Undertaker was so valuable all those years, because he was kind of like the kangaroo court,
he was keeping the locker room leader guy. Bret Hart just did an interview and said that when he left, he said to Taker, he said, "Look, you got to be the leader now."
That's interesting, and I just hope that there isn't as much to this story as we've heard. Unfortunately, it seems to be a lot of smoke here. There's probably a lot of fire, and I just feel badly for him as a professional because he's good and he was probably super excited. Now, the other side of this too is for all of us in our own daily life. I have two children. A guy that if they get bullied at school, or if I get bullied at work, or when I work a show, it's such a terrible way to treat somebody else, isn't it? It's just it's unfortunate all the way around.
But this is somebody that had he's bipolar disorder. I mean, he's kind of gone. He went into like a severe depression from this. So just I don't know. It makes it sadder because I really enjoyed what he brought to the announcing, especially of WWE. And it's.
Do you think JBL was just jealous?
It could have been jealousy. I don't know. I mean, that could be part of it. I mean, I think part of it is he is really good and he knows everything and he's really he's spot on. You watch his New Japan stuff that he did with I forget his name, but he he's always spot on. And I think there might be that hard thing, but I also wonder, Vince is kind of probably doesn't know what to make of this guy who can make all these references to things that he doesn't know. And I think he's offended by that in some way. And I don't, it's almost like he's the smartest guy in the room, but he's got to be, he got to kind of pretend like he's a little bit dumber than the boss type thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. The other thing I thought about, Justin, was The Miz when I heard this story, because of the classic bullying stories that have come out about what he faced, the hazing and the
going out in the dress in the locker room, outside in the hall. Right.
So we can laugh all we want at The Miz, and some people discredit him as someone who is not very talented. I kind of go the other direction. I think he's incredibly resilient.
He's done really good, especially this last year. He really reinvented himself with Maurice and everything. They really, like, his whole thing that he was doing with John Cena and everything. I mean, he was playing with like real things that we've seen. That I was like, wow, he's really going. But
also, someone who kept showing up and kept working hard and didn't listen to the people on the internet and didn't listen to his own locker room that didn't like him, and said, no, I really want this. I'll tell you, there's a lesson in there for all of us, whether you're a program manager, whether you're working at Starbucks, whether you're a dentist, it doesn't matter. Yeah. His resilience, I admire, and I think he's fine in the ring. I don't think he's legendary, but I think he's okay. He's gone. I liked him with John Morrison when they were the Miz and Morrison. They were fun.
Great. That was where he really started. People started to get off his back and go, "Oh, look, he is kind of talented."
Yeah, he was fun. And I had the t-shirt chicks dig me. I thought the shirt was kind of chick magnet.
Paul Heyman was actually one of the guys that recognized the Miz before pretty much anybody else, because when he was doing the ECW thing back in 2006, he wanted the Miz. Because he saw how good he was back in FCW or where Ohio Valley, I forget where he
OVW
was. OVW, yeah. And he saw so Paul saw what he was doing, and that's usually good. He's pretty good about spotting talent.
Well, there aren't many people with a better mind than Paul Heyman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, because you're a big wrestling fan, what got you hooked on wrestling?
This is a great question. I ask everyone I interview, and then the follow-on for wrestlers is, well, you're a fan, but why did you go to training and think you could actually do this?
Yeah, there you go.
See, and the reason I'm fascinated, because I never thought I could do this. I never was a little boy thinking, I'm going to grow up and be in the ring, because I know I'm not that physically gifted. But to answer your question, I had some family members who were big wrestling fans, and they would use me as the jobber. Right, so they were the wild Samoans or the Strongbows, and they would beat me up in the middle of the living room, and I would always have to take the giant knee lift and the finisher, and so I always kind of was around people that liked wrestling. But then I grew up near the Hershey Park Arena. I'm from York, Pennsylvania originally, and Hershey was a good stop along the way for the WWF in the 80s, and I went to a taping of Saturday Night's Main Event in October 1985 at the Hershey Park Arena. It was my first live event, and it was perfect, Justin, because it was a sold-out crowd. The top of the card was Hogan and Andre versus Studd and Bundy. It was the Halloween edition in 1985, and sold out. The music was great. The lights and entertainment. Hogan was mesmerizing to watch. And it was just this flair of, and I also come from a very musical family. My mom's a professional dancer, so I like musical theater. I like performing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I've always been a sports fan. So to me, it's kind of like a mix of everything.
The two, yeah.
A mix of everything, and it just captivated me from the minute Special Delivery Jones came out for the opening match. Until Hogan came out with Andre for the main event, and I never looked back. Now, I will admit there have been periods of time where my interest kind of peaked and valleyed. Do you find that as well?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, 2007 to 2009, like really 2011, really nothing I felt really happened of importance. I mean, we got Bret Hart back, but I mean, it wasn't really till like Punk showed up and did the promo, and then Brock came, and then Brock started coming in. That I felt like some things were kind of changing. I feel like they're still stagnant right now because they're so stuck on the writing. I mean, people don't talk that way when they do these promos. It feels so forced sometimes, and it's like insulting to me. It's like, I know how good these guys are. It's like you look at Bray Wyatt, and I'm just like, what are you doing? He's like bugs in the ring. I mean, this House of Horrors match. I'm like, no, this is a great speaker. This guy can really do something with it, and you're gimmicking him to the point of where he doesn't need gimmicks anymore. He needs to just be really vicious and really lay out somebody, you know. And I'm not seeing that. It's just kind of like it's a shtick. And it's like
we want still some of that gladiator feel, right? It can't all be a shtick.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be wins and losses. They need to mean something.
They do. That's why Saturday Night's Main Event is still to this day my favorite television show of all time, because back in the 80s you had that tease and please style, right, where they did the jobber matches on Saturday mornings, and then the house shows were actually kind of important. When they came to Hershey, even if it was not a televised show, I was like, I better be in Hershey, because, you know, Macho Man's defending that Intercontinental title against Tito Santana tonight, and this is a big chance for Tito to get that title back. Yeah. You know, I was a kid. I didn't understand how the business worked.
It's interesting that you got hooked on seeing it live. That's so cool. I mean, for me, it was seeing it. It's really the Monday Night Wars that really ignited me into it. But, you know, now I look back at, like, I love all aspects of it, you know.
Yeah, the Monday Night Wars were incredible. So I mentioned the peaks and valleys. I really loved it from about 85 to about 92. I went to college and just kind of faded in and out. I didn't love the direction of the WWF at the time. The kind of the Warlord and Davey Boy Smith.
Cartoonish.
Yeah, oh my God, you know, the Dragon, Ricky Steamboat, he's blowing fire everywhere.
Yeah, that's not Ricky Steamboat.
No.
You look at him and when he's facing Flair. I mean, that's how you do him, except for don't bring his kids out, because that kind of
that wasn't good. That wasn't good. But the Monday Night Wars, it's funny you mentioned the Monday Night Wars really did bring me back. I remember being on business trips. The true story. I remember being on business trips, and my coworkers were like, "Hey, listen, we're going out for drinks after the meal." I'm like, "No, at 8 o'clock Monday night. Like, I got to be there when the NWO comes out, because you never know what's going to happen."
Yeah. I've been watching the old
I'm not socializing tonight.
97 stuff. I'm up to like Starrcade now, and now I'm kind of like, all right, this is sad. It's not going anywhere now. You know, this is where it starts to fall apart. It's really sad for me to see, because I really still feel like that's one of the worst things that did happen in the business, was losing the main competition, which was
at the time
as it was.
At the time when Shane McMahon appeared, remember when they did that whole thing with Vince and Shane? I was like, this is amazing. Oh my head was like exploding. Yeah. And then the week later, I was like, this isn't good. And if you're going to have, in fact, I would say 90% of us had some kind of fantasy booking in our heads, whether it was a video game or action figures, like, oh my God, WCW versus WWF or WWE at the time. But when they didn't bring Sting and Flair and the Heart and Soul, who cares?
Yeah, no, they brought nobody. They brought a bunch of guys here, and it's just like, why didn't you just... I mean, they ended up bringing all those guys in the end, and it's like, why didn't you just wait then if you're going to do that? Why did you... Yeah, when I look at the Invasion, it's so sad. And then they brought in ECW.
The biggest missed opportunity in this business's history.
Yeah, they could have won. Instead of having SmackDown, they could have had WCW as the second brand, and people would have liked it if they had done it right.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they chose to make it look the same as everything else. Same thing with, like, in 2006 when they brought back ECW. It's like, all right, we're going to make it different, and then now we're going to change it back to what we want it to be. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why bring it back then?
I want to address one of the things you said about it's interesting that I fell in love with the business on television, because I did see it live at Hershey, and that was a big televised show. But I think the other point about wrestling back then, and I don't want to be one of those people that says back when I was younger everything was better. Yeah. The athletes today are better. There's no question.
Absolutely.
And the video production today is unbelievable. Like when they do a tribute to somebody on WWE, it's incredible. Yeah. So, and the music's great. There's no question that the product is better. But what I do not think is better is the storytelling. And Hershey Park was where the madness met the mania, and Hogan and Savage became locked up for the first time as the Mega Powers. So I saw it all the way through, and I went to WrestleMania 4, and I went to WrestleMania 5.
Oh, wow.
I saw Macho Man win in Atlantic City, and I saw Hogan beat him the next year. And I'll tell you, by the time Hogan...
year-long storyline, and they
didn't
falter from it. They went all the way through, and I think it'd be better to book that way year-long. I mean, but now they don't understand.
I'm telling you, WrestleMania 5 and the main event... I have never in my life, when Hogan pins him at the end of WrestleMania 5, you feel like the building's going to fall apart. I mean, the emotion was incredible. Now, juxtapose that to what we just saw at WrestleMania 33, when The Undertaker lost at the end. I looked around the crowd. I was watching on the network.
Yeah.
Stunned silence. No applause. Roman Reigns just walks out. Undertaker puts his stuff down. I don't know what just happened here. I mean, to me, that should have been the middle of the show. I know it's a tribute to The Undertaker.
Yeah.
But what is he, like 23-2 now? I'm the biggest anti-streak guy in the world. Yeah. Now he has 2 losses? He has 2 losses?
Yeah, I know. They just keep bringing it back up.
I mean, do you have an 18-0 shirt? Like, these people look like Undertaker 19-0, Undertaker 20. Now he's like 22-2.
Yeah, 22-2 shirts.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. But that should have been like in the middle of WrestleMania, which by the way was 3 hours too long.
Yes.
And then to me,
they're all wrestling the same way too, so the matches all feel like. I wanted Seth Rollins and Triple H to be such a great match, and then I saw it and I was like, this wasn't what I had in mind. This just doesn't feel like this is making Seth. One, Triple H is coming out to this giant entrance, and here comes Seth with his a torch. I'm like, you couldn't have given him like some horses or some Game of Thrones thing. You give him a light bright torch. Like, he's got a police escort. I mean, how is he supposed to compete? You're making him look lame by comparison, and it's just.
That's funny. Yeah. That's funny. The other thing I thought about WrestleMania 2 was I thought Brock and Goldberg should have been the main event because to me the marquee match. But I don't know this to be a fact. Were they worried about the fact they couldn't go more than 5 minutes? I mean,
I don't know. I think it was probably the Undertaker was going to take 12 minutes to take his clothes off.
I've always said we need an entrance from him that's 30 minutes. I don't understand.
Well, yeah. Apparently they raced him up like halfway down the ramp, so they didn't have to walk that giant ramp that they built. That just is like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It was just like crazy how long that thing was, and it's just like I don't know. It was kind of sad to me to watch that match with Taker because it felt like he was. I don't think he can do it anymore, and it really is time for him to. I think I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what.
No, you're right on the mark. The missed opportunity, and I think if I had to say the last 4 or 5 years, the biggest missed opportunity with WWE was CM Punk. CM Punk should have beaten The Undertaker when he wrestled him at WrestleMania. That should have been the loss, not Brock Lesnar the following year. It should have been when he wrestled CM Punk. That should have been the tip of the cap that we are going to follow CM Punk now and put him at the top of our promotion because there was a real, legitimacy to him. People really cared about him, love him or hate him. And to me, that was the last time The Undertaker was relevant.
That was the last good match, yeah, really.
We all respect him. There's no question. He's an amazing character. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, blah, 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 blah. But rolling him out every 12 months, and this match, he was out of shape.
Yeah, it was sad. It was sad when he couldn't kick his legs up for the thing. I mean, it's not his fault, but it's it's just like what can he do? He's had how many hip surgeries? I mean, there's only so much he can do,
And I don't think this is anything for Roman Reigns either. He's an incredible talent, but I just think with CM Punk, and now Punk's off running around. Did you see his UFC fight?
Yes, it was very sad to watch. He looked like he got mauled by the bear from like the Revenant. When he was toward the end there.
Yeah.
He's like standing there. It's like you were in there for like 3 minutes, and you look like you've been like killed.
Yeah, and I'm one of the idiots.
Aside, get out.
Did you buy it that night? Did your friends get it?
Yeah, I watched it that night.
I'm such an idiot too. Like I the whole day I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not. Pay-per-view. I know.
I was like, look, I gotta see his first fight at least. I mean, the second fight, no. But I mean, it was. Yeah, that's another. Yeah, it's really sad to see. He should be there now, headlining stuff.
Yeah.
And they didn't take advantage of him, and it's how I feel with they need to start like Kevin Owens. He's a great talent. They need to make him special, and not just another guy. So many of these guys just feel like another guy, and it's like, what are you gonna do when the Brock Lesnars and the Goldbergs and the Rocks can't come anymore because they're too old, or they just they can't do it. John Cena's now a movie star. What are they gonna do? They gotta start making these guys feel special, and it's like they don't know how to do that.
It's the hardest thing, right? It's the hardest thing in building a star.
Yeah.
And Vince has been great. I mean, The Undertaker we talk about, it's his greatest creation.
Yeah.
and he has been unbelievable. But Vince rides these guys into the ground. I mean, I did not need to see Triple H wrestle again, frankly.
No, it's getting old. This was really the moment where I went, you know what, Triple H can't. He's not doing the matches anymore the way he can. I thought,
I never had a problem with him like that. You know, there's books written about how like he buried everybody over the years. You know, I mean, Triple H is a star, and Triple H has a great mind for the business. But again, to your point, like, where's the next group of guys that's going to carry the world's biggest wrestling promotion? And you can't have Triple H beating them.
And that's why I praise New Japan, because they started making new guys. And you look at Okada, and Okada's starting to make money over there and start drawing. Because they took care of him, and they protected him, and they made him. Now, they want to do that with Roman Reigns, but the audience hates him, and they just kind of want to just ignore that and be like, no, he's a babyface, but half the crowd hates him. It's like, no, what happened with John Cena shouldn't have happened. You guys should have fixed that, and you never figured out how to fix that, and now you're going to do the same thing with Roman Reigns, and it's like, they need to look at what they're doing and change that, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. It's like
and I don't understand why we didn't get the big Cena heel turn.
Yeah.
29. If done correctly, it would have been fantastic. And right?
Hogan style.
It would have been great. And we are not ignorant anymore. So if the concern was, well, John Cena is not going to be able to do Make-A-Wish visits anymore, that's ridiculous. Yeah. In fact, if you put a black John Cena t-shirt out with him giving the finger or something like that, like, he'd sell more of them. I mean, so they could still market him great. He could still be the face of the company because people are not stupid. Yeah. You know, he's a good guy. And if I was running around this,
when Hogan turned heel, it never came from Vince. It came from Bischoff and his group. And I've been thinking about that, and it's like, Vince never would have turned Hogan. I don't think he ever would have saw that. And I think that it's going to have to come from somebody else. I mean, you've heard from writers that they said that they were very close to turning him, and then Vince, said, no, he just got the Walmart deal. We can't do it, man.
See?
Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
Let's keep the horse on the cart. And it's just like, no. You'd make more money. You might usher in a new attitude era, a new era that no one would have thought of with his heel turn. Because I
think the Undertaker Cena match, that's where he should have built him as a heel, had him wrestle the Undertaker, saying, "You're not giving me respect. I'm going to kick your ass and break this streak." It would have been great. And then you can flip him back a year later, and people would be thrilled to see him. But Cena, I have a lot of respect for John Cena because, again, like, if I was running a promotion, I'd want him on my roster. Yeah. People are just jealous of him in locker rooms and around this business. But I just feel like, when you talk about that next generation, where are they going to find it? CM Punk, to me, was the missed opportunity. He broke free and created something that people did care about, which is what you've been talking about a lot here. How do you listen to the audience? And
I'll never forget that pay-per-view when Triple H just beat him. I was just like, great. They turned him into another guy, and then they did the locker room walkout, and they had CM Punk come out and act like a goof, and I'm just like, what did you do? He was out here, making fun of this guy in the suit and everything. Now all of a sudden he's buddies with him, and it was just like, I was like, this is such a missed opportunity. He's supposed to be a rebel. That's what people liked about him. He was the rebel, and it's like they don't know how to do that anymore. It's like they're like, well, Austin is the only one that can be a rebel. Everyone else must be this, be the way we want him. It's just like, I don't get it. Really?
Well, and then you get like a Dean Ambrose where he's the lunatic fringe.
Yeah, so he does nothing lunatic about him. He just is like,
But he's the lunatic fringe, but he has a beautiful T-shirt on, like that has his lunatic fringe logo on, right?
Exactly. He does not come off like a lunatic.
No. Now, when I was growing up, to this change of eras, I really did believe Kamala was a wild man who needed two people to get to the ring. Yeah. Now, it was partly because I was younger, but there was like a legitimacy, like, oh my God, Kamala doesn't have boots on, and he's like a savage, and this guy's going to eat somebody in there.
Yeah, I remember Kane when they brought him in. You thought he had that presence of just like, oh my God, he's crazy, he's scary.
He's great.
What the hell is
Dean Ambrose isn't scary. He just wets his hair up before he comes in the ring.
Yeah, and he wears, his product placement out to the ring, and then he was doing
the hot pipe though.
Goofball thing, with on Monday, and I'm just like, so you switch the SmackDown feud over to Raw. It's like, why? It just, I don't know. It's like he should be more of a Raven type character.
Yeah,
really, because that's what he was like on the indie scene when he was John Moxley. He was very similar to kind of a Raven and like a CM Punk, and it's like he came here, and it's like he comes out in the blue jeans and the black shirt thing, and it's like I don't buy it. It feels fake to me. It
feels fake when everyone's, like you said, wearing their product placement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even when he's just wearing the shirt, it's like why is he wrestling in jeans? What is it? All right, we could talk about this forever. I want to let you go. I want you to get back to your game. But do you have anything you'd like to plug or anything on there?
Well, I really appreciate, Justin, the opportunity to be on the show tonight. I am the editor-in-chief of OnlineWorldOfWrestling.com. I encourage your listeners to check out the website. Again, I think what really distinguishes us are the wrestler profiles, and certainly for someone like John Cena, The Undertaker we talked about, it's just a great walk down memory lane, really, to go back and see, oh my God, all that they've accomplished in this business. And of course, we maintain the profiles of all of today's stars as well. So we work really hard on that. Very proud of what we do at OnlineWorldOfWrestling.com. And I encourage you also to check out CauliflowerAlleyClub.org. I do work for that organization, and we raise money for those in need that have given a lot to this business and then maybe fallen upon hard times. So you can follow me on Twitter if you want, at DLB19338. And I really appreciate the time tonight.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Dave. Once again, please subscribe to our channel at Pulp Report. And listeners or viewers, please comment at the bottom. And Dave, I want to just say thanks again. I really appreciate it. This has been great.
Okay, my pleasure. I'll talk to you soon, Justin. Take care.
Bye.
Okay.